class time. Hello. Tape is rolling. I am Verde Robusto. This is the Schumann Harmonics Resonance channel on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you all for being here. This is a part two of a discussion on the KP index, what it is and how it relates to the Schumann resonance. So I sort of channel this information through the lens of the Schumann resonances and how they're related and interrelated. At least that's the intention. I did a part one with my friend Alex, and it was kind of a sort of meandering look at the KP index. It was generally a casual introduction to him, to what the KP index is, and to what some of the Schumann stuff is as well. All right, so I have my camera set up, and I just want to say, before I continue, the only cure for a broken heart or a sad heart, or in some cases, physical illness, to get over them, is to open up the channels of love to yourself first, for forgiveness to yourself, but also to those who have hurt you, those who've done harm to you. It's the only way that you can move on. I've received a lot of comments and love and support from viewers while I was sick, and I know what it's like to be without family and loved ones around you. All my family is gone, except for my sister Heather, who is being held together by medical science. She has an artificial heart, and a pacemaker, and but other than her, she should have been deceased when she was 17. She told me she died in the hospital, and we've shared our near-death experiences, and so I think it's important to remember that part of our heart is also communal, and it doesn't necessarily belong to us. The way that the energy centers work is they're collective, they're communal, and that's where you can sense people around you, you can feel the stuff, and the electromagnetics in the environment messes up with, it interferes with that normal astral body, our inner bodies, our energetic bodies, the Akashic body. You have a number of them based on where the energy centers is located, and that's what comprises you, like shells, if you will, like an onion, layers. Humans are kind of compressed and densified in the middle, and that's where where we can feel it in our hearts, the energies and the waves that are around us. The magnetics and the electrics affect us in different ways, but they affect those energy bodies in odd ways, and that's why with a lot of the codes that are coming in, people are those bodies are awakening and becoming activated in a way that it probably couldn't have otherwise wouldn't have before. And that's why you're seeing a lot of the numerical codes, the 22s, the successive numbers, 1, 2, 3s, 2112, 2121, 1212, 14, 144, 14.4, 14.1, the 13s, 13.1, 133, 13, 13, 33, 33, I could go down the list. These are kind of angelic guilds that are showing up in the codes of the Schumann, because again, it's a Schumann related. Where are we at now? Yeah, all right, there we go. So you can see these different various codes intersecting. Let's zoomify this. fuck you. You don't like me, do you? Okay, well, screw you. Alright, so while we're here at this is a, gotta get my browser back. This is a letter from Carl Friedrich Gauss. And he's the guy that they've named the, shut up. Alright, so there we are. We're back at the KP index. Gauss is, since I got thrown off into this topic, Carl Friedrich Gauss is one of the gentlemen who's responsible for the magnetometer, as we shall see. All right. So sometimes doing these is like a comedy show. And by that I mean things don't go as planned, and then I have to kind of readdress, and it's like, oh, it's a malfunction. Well, it's not the machine's fault. All right, so I think to summarize, where I was, that this is why, if there's any reason for why, me, a person of a higher dimension, higher order, any of that, all the way down to a person who's asleep, why is this important? It's because there is information that is written on these magnetic waves. Like you can record onto magnetic tape, a magnetic substrate like the aluminum of a CD, the electromagnetics are what allow computers to work, and it's a memory on a magnetic substrate of some type. That's what allows a 1 and a 0 in computers, as it's basically an on and an off. The on is a magnetic blip that's written on, now it's all solid state, but, even like YouTube or Facebook or whoever's having server render farms, Pixar, movies, Hollywood, they have a hard disk that's attached to them. The server, it's a blade server and all this kind of stuff going on. And so these data clearinghouses still use a magnetic disk to store data. And I've shown you in one of the antenna makers, he talks about that. It's a disk storage, it's a D708 disk storage apparatus that is using to store his information. So, we get back to it. The electromagnetics, you're storing data on a hard drive, you're storing data on the magnetics of the environment stacking up. Go back to my troublemaker here. Alright. So, you see, I got a trick for you, buddy. So you see here, all these are the codes. That's what these are. You get to decipher the codes based on, if you're a musician, based on the strings and the conductor down here. Like these are the notes. Like this is one way. This is the notes. These patterns all in here. And then you have, this is how to play it. All right, this is off topic. I understand that. We're giving an analogy of what we're looking at here relative to the KP index. All right. Because, which one is it? not that. Magnetometers. All right. All right. I'm gonna find the magnetometers. Here you go. All right. So the magnetometers are these ones here. All right. Zoom out. All right. So our latitudinal of the KP, these are our magnetometers, and this is what I had wanted to get into, intended to get into, is the discussion about the magnetometers and the machinery that are picking up these signals. All right, so that's the stated clear intention of the direction of this video. All right. So before getting into the magnetometers, there we go. All right. So this way over here, that's the one I had up on the screen. All right. So before getting into the discussion of the magnetometers, I want to again give a definition, the working definition for what the KP index is. All right. So if you followed along with me to this point, yay, thank you. I keep kicking that with my knee. All right. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate everyone following along, and I hopefully I'm not too organized or too jumping around the topic for you. I do have a kind of, scattered ADHD way of thinking. There's a desk in my head where everything is kind of filed away. And so sometimes getting everything kind of nailed back down to where I had it, it's the same thing we video content, creators face when we're doing this. It's like, oh crap, I had, in doing the run through, I was, moved everything around. I'm like, all right, let's move it back. Now that we're live. All right. So I appreciate everyone being here and your patience and everything. All right. And so I'm working to keep this on a basic level for everyone. And I'm going over what we had read in the first part, because there's a lot there that really needs to get readdressed. What is the KP index, first of all? All right. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this. All right. So it says the KP index I'm just checking something. The KP index is the global geomagnetic activity index that is based on 3-hour measurements from ground-based magnetometers around the world. Each station is calibrated according to its latitude and reports a certain K index depending on the geomagnetic activity measured at the location of the magnetometer. The K index itself is a 3-hour-long, quasi-logarithmic local index of the geomagnetic activity at the given location and time compared to a calm day curve. A magnetometer measures the maximum deviation of the horizontal component of the magnetic field at its location and reports this. The global KP index is then determined with an algorithm that puts the reported K values of every station together. The KP index ranges from 0 to 9, where a value of 9 means that there is very little geomagnetic activity, and a value of 9 means extreme geomagnetic storming. Okay. So these are ground-based. They're 3-hour measurements. So each one of these little peaks here is a 3-hour interval. Okay. Each station is calibrated according to its latitude and reports a certain K index depending on the geomagnetic activity measured at the location of the magnetometer. The K index itself is a 3-hour-long quasi-logarithmic local index of the geomagnetic horizontal component of the magnetic field at its location in reporting this. All right, so when we're talking about the horizontal, right, on the Schumann here, we're showing you the horizontal. This is the magnetic component of the horizontal, and you see sometimes they're beaded up like that, like pearls on a string, if you will, if you can kind of take that analogy. It kind of globulates here and there elsewise as well. Well, and this is well on this. That is absolutely very interesting pattern to be seeing all at 7 and below. That is interesting. Check. Come on. Huh. I'm gonna have to check that out later. You see that the amplitude kind of rose up on all them, not just the mid-grade and all that. That is relatively calm. And the frequency is kind of interesting in that. Huh, interesting. All right. So anyway, the horizontal, I'm off topic. The horizontal, this is right now's Schumann Resonance. So that's like I said, that's the horizontals. There's that line at 17, very strong line at 17. Or it's actually, I think that's 16 and a half. That line right there is at 16 and a half. All right, so that's the magnetic portion of the program. All right. Now, where we're talking about here. All right. So this is, I've shared this before, and this is where we're coming into where it's coming into your use. All right, so first off, this is at spaceweatherlive.com. Okay. They have, this is under aural activity magnetometers. You can't really see it. So I'll just scroll out a second. Yeah, there you go. All right, so under aural activity, this is where you find this, under aural activity, auroral, sorry, there's magnetometers. Sorry, right there. That right there. That's where all this is. Okay, so that's how you find that. All right. So, getting back. All right, so you can see where we're talking about the latitudes of the other one. All right. Where they're talking about the latitudes, these are different stations here, and each one's giving a reading, and this is the latitude of it. All right, so I read this before. I'll read it again here because we're over here. Stack plot, Europe. This plot shows several magnetometers that are located in Norway, Denmark, and Finland, ranked according to their latitude. When a geomagnetic disturbance starts, the most northern magnetometers will respond, and as the disturbance strengthens, the lower magnetometers will respond as well. Once the stations Donbass, which are DOB, and Solund, SOL, react, there will be a chance for the European middle latitudes to see auroral low at the northern hemisphere. Horizon, sorry. From the Tomaso Geophysical Observatory, TGO, DTU Space, which is Technical University of Denmark, and Finnish Metropolitan Institute, IN. All right, which I think may be in here, I'm not sure. But when he's talking about, you start going the most northern magnetometers, and then they start moving south to Donbass and Solund, which are DOB and Solund are here. DOB, and then that's Solund right there. So you can see, relatively speaking, while these guys up here, they get all the aurora, the borealis, aurora borealis action up here. You wouldn't tend to see as much down here in these, the lower latitudes, and so that's what they're saying. When you get a really bad storm and you start seeing stuff down here, like that's when they start sending out alerts or whatever. But that's what their kind of cutoff is. And you see that there's still a few more down below there. All right. And so this one's a Canadian magnetic observatory system. This diagram shows the data for the last 24 hours from Canadian Magnetory Observatory System, CanMOS. For each station, the X, north, Y is east, and Z is vertical down components of the magnetic field they showed. All right, so I'm not going to go into all these. This is the stack plot from North America. This is the Australian. They get a few of them in there. This is the GOES satellite, GOES 16 magnetometer. They're measuring that. All right. And then there's... interesting. Yeah, they got magnetometers for sale as well, apparently. You got coils and all kinds of induction doohickeys there. All right, so now down here, Rangel sphere to tread, if you will, there's more specific information on lichen, link, sele. This is Sam American. This for kicks and giggles. Let's just see if they come up. Oh, look at that. Oh, what a great job that would be to monitor that. All right, so it's here in Legvolleyur, I'm butchering that, Magnetic Observatory in Iceland. All right. So that's given us kind of a fun graphic. What else we got here? All right, oh, look at that. All right, another great graphic. All right. This is same Europe, DE, Denmark, I guess. Wow, look at that, way over here. It's some high-ass shit. And these are nanoteslas. So 200, the maximum up here they're giving you is 200 nanoteslas, and that's the next row down is 150. Then there's 100. So that's halfway down the scale, 100. That's pretty serious. Oh, let's give us problems. Okay, exit out. Alright, so, like SGU magnetometer, giving us another fun graphic. And that's that would be a relative mark. It's not. It's 2100. I'm pretty sure that's nanoteslas. And I'm not sure what the red. Okay, yeah. I'm not going to be helpful in teaching you how to read one of these. Okay, but anyway, that's Boulder. Yeah, that is Boulder. They do got one. All right. One of the abbreviation code is BOU, and I thought it might be Boulder, and Boulder's got one. Yeah, all right. So this is Boulder, what's happening over in Boulder, and this is 50 nanoteslas per division. All right, so you got the H component, which I'm assuming that would be horizontal. D. I have no idea what this is. This plot provides SWPC forecasters with a near real-time view of the geomagnetic field fluctuations at the Boulder Magnetometer station. All right. Okay. Well, tape's rolling. I don't know what this is. All right. So anyway, all right. So I just did a scroll. This show's about magnetometers, magnemeters. So that's relevant here. It's giving you the charts there. All right. All right. So we talk about the KP. Let's see if we covered everything. So the KP index itself is a 3-hour quasi-logarithmic local index. All right, so you saw that where I just did the magnetometers there, one Boulder, wherever. Right, so the local index of geomagnetic activity at a given time, location of time compared to Conway curve. The magnetometer measures the maximum deviation of the horizontal component of the magnetic field. All right. So I think I just showed you what and where that information is of what it's talking about there. All right, so if you followed along, hopefully I haven't scrambled your brains too much. Thank you for being here. I provide, that was kind of the only way to provide visual aids of what it is that they're talking about here, what the KP index is. All right. So do we need to go over there? The estimated 3-hour night. We talked about that yesterday. All right. You see, and this is the KP scale. This is something that's important to go over. Wages World, I think, had talked about this. I'll talk about this as well while we're here. So you have the KP index, 1 to 9, and then you have the G scale. You know, we have there's not much going on in the G. There's nothing really going on in the G0 scale, and you could get up to KP4, which would be in the yellow, the traditional yellow that they have in the bar graphs, and it's not registering on the G scale. All right. So, but once you get into a KP5, you start talking about a G1, a KP6 is a G2, KP7, G3. KP8 is a G4, KP9 is a G5, okay? And so this is something that they're noting here as well. They're showing you the geomagnetic latitude, right? So when we were talking about, we were showing you, I just showed you the Dolbach and Solund, where they're talking about the latitude of that, and they draw that kind of line in the sand with those two stations as the warning for the lower latitudes start having, auroras. But there's also geomagnetic stuff that comes with that as well. It's not just, you're getting pretty pictures, in the sky. It's like, if here in Rhode Island, if we started seeing auroras, it would be like, F-bomb. Something seriously is going on. We're getting bombarded by solar stuff, and lots of it. And yet I'm still in the Northeast, here. So, but we start talking about the latitudes, and these equate out to the growing zones for plants, by the way. And so it starts talking about, dropping in the latitude. You have a auroral activity minor storm, and that's 1,700 per cycle, 900 days per cycle. The KP6 at the G2 is 54.2 degrees geomagnetic latitude. Auroral activity moderate storm, 600 per cycle, 360 days per cycle. I'm not going to go into all that. But you see that this is some interesting information that you can see yourself. And they have the finalized KP index of a more kind of dialed in sort of, the in-between of not just a 5, but it's a, 5 plus going up into 6. And so that's the same general scale that I just showed you above, but bigger, or expanded, I should say. All right. So So I'm not going to go into that about the auroras